I love how I dye my hair green and then just still end up doing purple makeup. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Hazel Jane and I like to paint crap on my face. Today is something that I've not actually done before, but I'm very excited to do. I've had a few people ask me for a tutorial on this eye look, and I thought it could be fun to do a slightly longer, more in-depth one for YouTube, so that's what we're doing. Anything that's this kind of like blown out, smoky, kind of grungy, bit messy, kind of glam, that it's me down to a T. It's a really fun eye look that you can do with any kind of colour scheme that you want, and generally speaking, because it is very like blown out and smoky and dramatic and a bit on the grungier side, it's very forgiving, so it's not the end of the world if you make a bit of a mess along the way. If anything, it kind of adds to it, which is why it's one of my go-to makeup looks. So without any other waffling,
let's go.
To start with, I do have a little bit of concealer just underneath my eyebrows to blend it into the rest of my base makeup, but my eyelids are bare. To prime the eyes, I'm just going to go in with a really light layer of the Makeup Revolution IRL Filter Finish Soft Matte Concealer. I've started using this recently rather than like a specific eye primer product, just because I find that where it's a little bit thicker and a concealer and it has like a matte finish, it just helps a little bit with creasing on the eye and generally just is a bit more effective than an eye primer, but obviously it does mean that you have to set it with some kind of powder. I'm using a really minimal amount of product because it is a concealer, so it is a much thicker consistency and it generally has obviously a lot more coverage, so you really do not need a lot of it. And I'm going to use just a tiny bit of translucent powder to set it, especially in like the crease where my eyelid creases. You don't need a lot of powder, obviously, because you will be going back in with eyeshadow over the top, but again, it's just to stop the concealer from like moving around. I'm going to go in with the JOLIE Beauty Spellbound palette because it just has the most gorgeous range of like cool toned purples and blues. I'm going to start with the shade Healing, which is like a pale lavender kind of colour. This is going to act as my transition shade, and then I'm going to take it on like a medium sized sort of round fluffy blending brush. I'm going to focus it mainly along the outer corner and then following along the crease. I'm going to bring it up quite high on my brow bone because where I redraw my eyebrows so high up, I have a lot of excess like brow space to work with, and I want to give the illusion of a slightly higher like brow bone. Anytime I dip back into the pan, the first place I'm putting it is back on the outer corner because that's where I want the highest concentration of product to be, and then from there I can just slowly buff it out into the rest of the eye shape that I want to make. Now I have a really bad habit of over smoking and just doing overly dramatic smoky eyes, so you definitely don't have to blow it out quite this much. Got a bit carried away on the inner corner, so I'm just going to take a clean fluffy brush and just soften up those edges a little bit. Because this is such a pale shade, I don't need to use another shade to soften the edges out, but if you're using a bit of a darker shade, you can always go in with a paler version of that shade to soften the edges out. But you can see where the highest concentration of product is like following the crease of the eye. And then I'm going to go in with Necromancy on a much smaller but still quite fluffy brush, and again just follow the same shape of starting at the outer corner and working my way along the crease. I always have the like original brush with the first shade on hand as well, just so I can go back and forth between the two colours to make sure they are nice and evenly blended. I'm not too fussed about colours getting onto the lid either because I'm going to be going over it with a much darker shade, so it's not the end of the world if it looks a little bit rough in the middle. Going back in again with a clean brush just to soften it all through to the edges. I'm going to go ahead and do the other eye to this stage before I start fiddling around with the inner corner because that's usually where it goes wrong for me. It has gone a little bit patchy just here where I've tried to blend it, but again that's okay because I'm going to be going over it with a darker shade. Before I go in with any like black shadow though, I am just going to take that Necromancy shade and just sweep a really light layer across the lid. I often find sometimes that black eyeshadows, if I just apply them directly to my eye, they can end up being quite like weak and a bit patchy. So I've often found that adding a deeper shade of whatever colours you're using underneath it, it seems to help give a bit more depth to the black shade rather than it just being sort of flat. There's definitely some kind of colour theory that goes into that I understand, but not well enough to put into words, because it is looking a bit rough right now. I'm just going in and adding a black gel liner to the waterline and tightline. This is the MAC Glide or Die gel liner, but like the special Richard Quinn design one. I'm always on the hunt for like good black gel liners of any kind. So if anyone has any recommendations, please let me know in the comments. In the upper lash line especially, I'm just wiggling it back and forth to try and get it in between all the lashes. To blend in the lash line, I'm going to take this teeny tiny little like packing brush. I remember I saw someone once refer to this as a packing paw because it looks like a little animal paw, and that's all I ever think of when I see it now. But just taking a little bit of black shadow and just softening the edge between where I put the gel liner and where the eyeshadow is on the lid. And then very carefully doing the same on the lower lash line, again just to soften out the edge a little bit and give it more of a smoky kind of feel. You don't need to worry about being overly neat at this stage because, as you can see, we smoke it out quite a bit. And going in with like a small bullet brush, I'm going to take that very first shade, Healing, and blow out that bottom lash line quite a lot. It won't be to everyone's style, but I always enjoy taking the lower lash line, especially on like any kind of smoky eye. I like taking it quite far down and making it really smoky, namely because it helps to hide all of the creases of my lower eyelids. But also as well with anything like red or purple toned, I just really like that kind of somewhat undead, like dark circle kind of vibe, even though I put concealer on to hide my own dark circles. And then I'm going to take another bullet brush with the Necromancy shade to deepen up that lash line again and tie all the colours into the top lid. Then just going back and forth between the three shades with the three brushes until I'm happy with the blend. I'm then going to take this slightly thicker bullet brush to start bringing the black shadow up over to the rest of the eyelid. I'm packing it quite generously onto the lid to build up the depth, and then as I get up to the crease, I am taking it beyond the crease, again to keep the blend in the shape, but I'm just taking a much lighter hand in order to blend it all together. And then again, just going back and forth with those very first two brushes and the two purple shades to smoke it all out. I've decided to smoke it up out towards my temple because I'm dramatic. You absolutely do not need to do that. And again, this is just that very, very first fluffy blending brush with the very, very first shade. Basically just kind of going around all the edges and bringing it a bit further down on the lower lash line to give that like dead, not dead look. I'm then going to use the Jolie Beauty Moonchild highlighter palette. I don't think my camera is picking up like the colour shifts in each of these shades, but I'm going to go in with the shade Phases, which has got like a bit of a purpley blue tint to it. Don't know how well it's picking up, but it's really pretty. Yep, there it is. I'm going to add a little bit of this just over the very centre of the lid so that the light catches it. Oh, that's pretty. I'm going to take another brush though, just to blend it out so that it's not like just a straight line down the middle. I am a little bit in love with these colours, I can't lie. I wasn't sure if I wanted to add anything else to it, but honestly I think just a big fat pair of lashes will tie it all together. I'm going to grab the Fenty Beauty Hella Thick mascara because it's absolutely one of my favourites. I've just realised any lashes that are like super big will just cover up all of that shimmer in the middle, so I'm just going to go in with like a little demi lash to add a little something something to the outside. These are from Prima lashes and these are called Fling. If I remember correctly, you can get them in like Primark. Okay, I think these work. I might change my mind, I don't know. I have got a little bit of fallout around my nose because I got distracted watching someone play Minecraft while I was supposed to be concentrating on blending, but the eye look is done for now, so let me just go add a lip real quick. And here we have the finished look. I really like the lip combo that I had, and then I put a gloss on it and I hated the gloss, so I took the gloss off and now it's kind of gone like this, but I am obsessed with these colours and the overall like grungy glam kind of vibe with it. I think it contrasts really nicely with like the green in my hair as well. Let me know if you guys want me to do any more of these like little mini tutorial kind of things for eyeshadow or just makeup in general. Let me know what kind of thing you want to see. I'll leave a link for all the products that I used in the description box down below. But other than that, I hope you all have a fabulous day. I love and appreciate you all very, very much. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye bye.